Hey, this is Billy for the Steel Cage podcast. I'm here with Jim Cornette, who's just done his live show here in London. I think he's done about, how many shows have you done? Sorry.
We've did Glasgow, Manchester, Birmingham, and now London.
And it's difficult getting you out here because I know you don't like to fly. I heard that on your podcast, you're on the MLW podcast, and now you're on the podcast as well.
The Jim Cornette Experience on MLW.com for those so inclined to listen to it. Or you can go to my website, JimCornette.com, and click on podcast, and you can go to it that way. And you can also follow me on Twitter at the Jim Cornette. But to answer your question, not big on flying, but my lovely wife was kind enough to Xanax me up, and I slept through most of that. And I've loved the United Kingdom. I love the people. I love the customs. Love the architecture. I'm having a ball, and the response that we've gotten from these live shows has been tremendous. It's really gratifying at this stage of my life to see that people still care enough about what we did in the past to come and hear more about it. And I'm having a ball.
Well, I've got 3 or 4 questions for you, but we all want to go because WWE Elimination Chamber's on tonight. I'm sure you want to watch it.
Oh yeah, I got to get right home after I wash my hair. I'm going to watch the pay-per-view.
But moving on to my questions, what I wanted to actually ask you was, first of all, managers in wrestling have completely gone. I know you was asked this out there. The managers have completely gone now. Do you know what reason why that is? And do you see them coming back? And when did they decide that the heels could talk so well for themselves that they didn't need you guys anymore?
I think, like I said tonight at the show, it started out when they wanted to put the girls at ringside, and I'm not sexist, but it was a case of, putting sex and sizzle on the program. And guys like Paul Bearer, myself, and the old-fashioned male managers don't look good in bikinis. So that kind of started the downfall. And then Vince McMahon, the industry leader, the WWE, has just decided that they don't feature that many male managers. Heyman slips in and out every once in a while, and Zeb Coulter's there, and that's about it. And in the other companies, there's not a lot. And it's a shame because it takes a lot of variety out of wrestling. But I was fortunate enough to get in at a time where there was a lot of great managers, competitive managers, and I was able to hold my own. And I'm proud of what we all did then, and hopefully it'll come back someday. I probably won't be a part of it because I don't like to travel that much anymore on a full-time basis, but I can live vicariously through some of the younger guys.
Well, I think people my age and a lot of people that listen to our podcast, when they picture Jim Cornette, they picture Jim Cornette, Owen Hart, British Bulldog, Yokozuna, that picture at that time, and obviously all of those are gone. So one of the things that's reduced in wrestling is like the death toll. Now, do you see the steroids and things coming back in the industry as the numbers decline? Or do you think that that's gone for good? So that's a good thing that's gone.
I mean, there's always going to be somebody that does something they shouldn't do, but I think it's drastically declined. I think it's going to continue to decline as people learn more about it, see what the long-term health risks are. The guys who were on the forefront of it, the superstar Billy Grahams in the 60s and 70s, Billy has led a really rough life over the past couple of decades with health problems as a result of that. And I think that a lot of the guys are realizing now that you don't need to do that to get ahead. It's not looked upon as favorably as it once was. And I think it's, we're closing the chapter on that. I think there's still a problem with pain pills and pain medication because this stuff isn't ballet. And these guys hurt on a daily basis. They put their backs and necks on the line, to entertain the fans. So I think that's going to continue to be a problem until something is done to try to, give the wrestlers an off season where they can heal up before the nagging injuries just get too much to deal with. And I think that's what they got to look at next. They've about eliminated steroids, and we've got to go in that direction next.
Well, because you mentioned Billy Graham, I can transition straight on to the next question, and that's basically the Hall of Fame. Billy Graham spoke out against Vince in the 90s for the steroid thing, and then still ended up in the Hall of Fame in 2004. So what about Jim Cornette?
Hey, you never know. I was not a level of the star that Billy Graham was in the old WWF. People have asked me about it. I don't know that anything I did in the WWF in the 90s was necessarily Hall of Fame worthy, but I think that what I did with the Midnight Express in the 80s was Hall of Fame worthy by any stretch of the imagination. And the problem is the Midnight Express never wrestled for the WWF. They put people in based on their popularity in that company, based on what they can do as far as DVD sales and merchandise and their history with the company. If they asked me, I wouldn't turn it down as long as the boys were going in with me. I don't see them beating my door down, and I'm not going to lose sleep over it either way. So I think it would be a feel-good thing for the fans, and I can't say that it wouldn't be an honor, but at the same time, I'm in a few other Hall of Fames, and I've got, people like this coming out to see me, and that's kind of a Hall of Fame for me every time I do one of these things.
Yeah.
That's gratification and feedback that what I've done touched people and meant something to them, and that's enough for me.
Well, just staying on the subject of Hall of Fame now, these are questions that are a little bit more controversial than the first lot. How long do you think it is before they induct somebody such as a writer? So I'm hinting at your friend here, Vince Russo. Can you ever see that happening?
Let's put it this way. I can't say it will and I can't say it won't, but I have a feeling if they do, you can look up in the air and there'll be a donkey flying over the arena.
Right. Well, I heard he was actually back talking to or dealing with TNA now, so somebody's taking him back for something.
I've heard the rumor. I can't confirm it or deny it, but TNA has pretty much gone through everybody that will talk to them the first time, so
right.
They may be recycling. And hey, at this point, even he couldn't do any more damage that's already been done. So,
And my last question is Hall of Fame related as well. When it's for Randy Savage. Now, I ask you because you're in the company between the years of 93 and up until 98. I know you were there beyond that, but during that period, Randy Savage left with Vince McMahon's blessing, and then round about 96, 97, he heard something, and I think you know what I'm referring to. What do you know about that, and is that any part of the reason, or is that just something that's fabricated by the internet?
I've got to be perfectly honest, and I love to dish dirt on people, but I think that's one of those things. It's an urban legend. It's been fabricated. I never heard anything about it from the boys or from the talent or the wrestlers or the office inside at the time. I heard about it years after it was supposed to have taken place, and I don't think it's that valid. I think that Randy left at a period of time where Vince was offended by it and felt betrayed by it. He took a big sponsorship with him, Slim Jim, when he went. And also there's been the issue with, Lanny Poffo, Randy's brother, saying that Randy's wish was that they be inducted as a family because the Von Erichs were inducted as a family and the Poffos were always tight. Lanny and his father Angelo and Randy. And I can believe that Randy said that. I can believe he meant it. So I think that there's so much real dirt in wrestling. I don't think they need to dig up stuff that necessarily isn't there. And like I said, I'd love to have some evidence that it was true, and I'd be glad to tell everybody, but I've never heard any first-hand account of that, and we didn't hear anything about it at the time it was alleged to have happened.
Okay, I'll move on to my very last question, and it's basically a case of if somebody reached out to Jim Cornette tomorrow, WWE, TNA, let's stay with WWE. Now, at the moment, they don't seem to be booking stories. They don't seem to be telling any story whatsoever. And I think that's really what's missing there. If you got the pencil tomorrow, I know this won't happen, but you got the call and said, Jim Cornette, come in, take the book, here you go. What's the first thing you could do? Or would do?
Shoot myself in the head. No, in all seriousness, it's not that simple anymore. And it's almost one man can't almost do that job anymore. And it's so much pressure, and I'm really, over the past year and a half, I've done very limited appearances and no wrestling events, and I'm enjoying myself a lot more. I have other projects I'm working on, everything from the podcast to the website to the books that I write to these stand-up shows that I do.
Would you ever watch and go, I take this, I look at this guy, I would do this with that guy, or not?
Can I be honest with you? I haven't watched a wrestling television program in the last year and a half, except for one. I was trapped in a hotel and turned on Raw. I was in bad weather staying over on the way back from a trip, and I turned on Raw, and there was so much I would do different, yes, but I don't even know at this point if the people have seen what they're seeing for so long, would they appreciate what I would do that would be different? Would it still work? I'm not ready to take on that schedule or that responsibility again at this time of my life. I'm having fun. Fortunately, I'm not in need of doing something like that. I've got a roof over my head, and I make my own schedule, and I like the guy that I work for, who is me. So, so I don't know, even if you offered it to me, I would take it, but at the same time, you're never supposed to turn down money or opportunities before they arise. So never say never, but it would be, as Gorilla Monsoon used to say, highly unlikely.
Okay, well, that's everything I have for you, and I just want to say, just from watching you out there, and obviously, a lot of it was improv and everything, and I think seeing you talk out there is exactly what is missing from there, where they give them scripts and things and whatnot, and just watching you go out there and perform and do your thing for the last 2 hours or whatever, I think it's just spot on exactly what it needs, and it's unfortunate that you're not around anymore and you can't pass that on to the people.
Well, I'm still around, I'm just not wrestling.
Yeah, just not in the
I'm still breathing.
Just not in the business to pass that on, and I think that's for a lot of people that aren't involved anymore, and they can't pass that on to the younger guys coming up.
Well, so. I appreciate it, and the thing is about the scripts these days, I'm glad that it didn't exist in my day because I can't remember that much stuff. So I have to improv because elsewise I'd be stuck going, now wait a minute, what was I supposed to say? And I appreciate the feedback I've gotten. And
Everybody loved. Everybody was hooked on it. Like nobody was getting up. I think the bar took a lot of money because everybody was just hooked. So.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on. And everybody check out my podcast, The Jim Cornette Experience, on MLW.com. Check out JimCornette.com. Follow me at The Jim Cornette. And you can get a list of all the other things that I'm involved in, which is vast and various.
I highly recommend it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you, man.